Hey everybody, I just wanted to give a kind of walkthrough of the assignment 4, the serial vision exercise, and some of this is going to be quick, just hoping that you can follow along a little bit, see my thought process. Started by tracing the Noli map, or the figure ground plan, and placing some areas of interest that I thought I would want to go visit, and using Gordon Cullen's serial vision page as a kind of reference. So the sequence I chose started with the New England Holocaust Memorial, which is kind of a linear path marked by these spires. And it's kind of a beautiful way to start the series because it's kind of clearly delineated. This was the perspective I chose. And this is the beginning of setting it up, picking a horizon line, ground plane, the major geometries, the trees, so on, putting some scale figures in there to help me understand how to divide the geometry. Going to show a picture and a finished product for each step. As I come out of the memorial, I can't help but notice some of the older architecture from the 18th century, the Blackstone block. It caught my eye, so that'll be the perspective I chose. Again, I'm starting with the ground line, horizon line, setting up some scale of the public space, maybe the first level, choosing the windows, the major shape of the roof line, the contours, and then I'll start to add in windows in order to make sure the scale of the drawing is reading right. If the windows are going well, I'll kind of keep going and adding in detail. I'm a little bit all over the place here, but kind of filling in all that information as I go, trying to prioritize shape and shadow. I was kind of struck by the alleyway between those two buildings. So I started at the entrance and had a long look down the alleyway, struck by the mechanical equipment kind of glowing in the light a little bit, the pavement, the cobblestones. It was just an interesting alleyway. I wanted to continue into the alleyway because the space felt so cavernous. It was compressed, but I was struck in particular by this light that was coming directly behind me. You can kind of see it on the trees as well, and it created a shadow on both sides of me, which stopped me in my tracks. So I decided to sit there in the middle of the alleyway and record this. This was a simple perspective, and the major impact that it had on me had to do with the light and the shadow. So I kind of went right in and started to shade that in. You might bring a marker on site with you if you want to capture something like that very quickly. Coming out of the alley, the sky opened right up, and the length of this street wall, the rhythm of the windows, was something I wanted to study. Something that repetitive is sometimes really nice and meditative to draw, and you can learn a lot by how the street wall is impacted by some of the openings at the ground level and kind of what goes on in the building based on the windows. So I was kind of struck by this. Once the guidelines are in, for the most part, of the major geometries, you don't necessarily have to draw all the construction lines of all of the windows, but really just trying to get a sense of the scale and texture. As you move into the space between the market buildings of Faneuil Hall Marketplace, you can't help but notice the scale of the buildings on either side of you and the way that has an impact on the comfort of the pedestrian walkway. And I was happy to have a seat here and try to capture again the kind of same rhythm of the facade, but really the sort of the things that make this public space worth stopping, staying at. And one of the things that I loved about this particular scene was the framing of the trees, but the dome of the building in particular. So I spent some extra time to try to capture that. Here I just wanted to show how you can quickly go and add some shading, maybe in 2 tones, just to really capture the character of the space and to help make the form that defines that space a little bit more prominent.